Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back to a windy episode in the life of a virtual cargo pilot. Now, really quickly, I just want to put out a disclaimer. You guys know this is flight simulations. We try to do things the real way. Sometimes we just goof off and have a good time. Let that airplane go by. But my disclaimer is that what I'm about to talk about is fictitious. I'm making this up. It's for the sake of something I'm trying to work on for later down the road. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that up front. And with that said, it has come to my attention as the CEO of Mac Air that somebody's been flying one of our 767s with my name as the pilot, saying that they were Captain Mac. They did a couple of flights, one over into Germany, which is where we happen to be today, and then apparently that there was a crash, and this person may be gone. Not really certain yet. What I can tell you from the Mac Air perspective is that we are investigating right now. We did have a 767 crash over in Germany, and we are still investigating the cause of that incident and ultimately the outcome. And so that's all I can really say about that right now. But when we have further details, I will certainly let you know. So with that in mind, and that is our backdrop, we are going to be departing out of Ramstein Air Base today. Now this flight here is really a staging flight. By the time you see this, I will have already done the next flight, which is going to be a live stream this evening. So if you watch my live stream this evening and then you watch this video later on, you'll know when I did this flight. But basically, we're going to stage this aircraft. We're going to move it from Ramstein Air Base, or ETAR, over to London Heathrow, EGLL, and that is in preparation for the flight we're going to be conducting on the live stream tonight. Again, just a reminder, by the time you see this video, that live stream took place a while ago. That's the way I do my videos. I have to record them in advance and get them uploaded and release them on a schedule, because with everything I got going on around the house here with all the kids and all that crazy stuff, I would never get any videos out if I didn't do that. So the live stream that I'm talking about right now will have already taken place by the time you see this video. With all of that said, let's climb up into the office and let's get to work. Alrighty folks, nice to be in out of that wind, because it is definitely windy out there. We've got most of the power and everything done on the aircraft. First thing we want to do, as we normally do, is take a quick look at our flight plan for the day using SimToolkit Pro. You can see I pulled the weather up through SimToolkit Pro as well, because I cannot tune in the ATIS at Ramstein. That's not actually that surprising. It is a military base, and so I would think we would have access to their ATIS, but I don't know. But either way, it just says not available on here as well, so apparently the ATIS doesn't work. I don't know. Either way, here you have it. ETAR, Ramstein Air Base to Heathrow, EGLL. Not a very long flight, 447 nautical miles. We are going to be pretty heavy though. Our estimated takeoff weight's 504,800 pounds. Landing, pushing it towards our max landing weight, 482,199 pounds. That's really what's limiting our takeoff weight, is our landing weight. Zero fuel weight is right there at the max, 461,300 pounds. That's as heavy as we can get, so that's a good time. Forget about this altitude here, because we're not flying at 18,000 feet. It's just not going to happen. We're going to fly at flight level 320. Looking at the fuel really fast, 45,500 pounds of fuel has been loaded on board the aircraft. Trip fuel is 22,601 pounds. I put the taxi fuel, which is somewhere on here. There it is. I put it at 1,000 pounds. I think that'll probably be enough, but we'll see. Maybe we'll end up using a little more, but either way, we've got plenty of fuel for the trip. Scrolling on down to the bottom here, 2 packs on board. That's just me and a co-pilot. 198,800 pounds of cargo, total payload 199.1. We had to bring that down just a hair to make sure that we were within our center of gravity limits. And again, that puts our takeoff weight estimated at 504,800 pounds, and then a pretty heavy landing weight. That's going to be our flight plan for the day. Let's get back over to the flight deck, finish getting things cleaned up and ready to go. Alrighty, a couple of things for your benefit really quick. Last time we flew this aircraft, at least as of the recording of this video, was in a live stream, and our autopilot went kaput at 33,000 feet. I'm hoping that doesn't happen today. I meant to get in touch with my friend Jerry. He said he knows what might have caused that. It has to do with that error we got for scenery not being available or something like that. And so we were going to try and get it fixed, but I didn't get a chance to do that. So we're going to see if that happens on this flight as well. With that in mind, I did find an old non-normal procedures checklist and so on. I've got it linked inside my SimToolkit Pro just in case we need to pull it up. hopefully we won't have any issues with that. Okay, so with all of that in mind, taking a look real quick, I have not done the taxi and departure briefing yet, so we're going to do those real quick so that we can finish putting together our MCP here and then press on with this flight. So here we are, Ramstein Air Base. We're right over here on ramp 1. Now we're going to be taking runway 8 for departure, partly because we're so heavy. We're going to go ahead and use that extra long runway. It's going to be nice for us. But you see there's no taxiways that go all the way down the runway, so we're going to back taxi on runway 9. That's what we're going to do, or 27 runway 9. It's back taxi for 9 or taxiing down 27, however you want to look at it. Take that all the way down to the end here, and then we'll come on over. We'll hold short on Kilo for runway 8 for our departure. Now it's going to be the bulky 2 Lima departure, and again we're using our Navigraph charts linked into our Sim Toolkit Pro here. I like to say it once in a while, if you don't have Navigraph charts, you ought to get them. They're fantastic. I absolutely love Navigraph charts. I've loved them for a long time. Great group of folks over there, so this is fantastic. Now with this Lima departure, we're going to zoom this in a little so you can see this here, because there's a lot going on here, right? So you got bulky 2 Echo Lima November Sierra Whiskey all on here, and they're both for runway 8 or 9. We're on the bulky 2 Lima, and this is a flight that goes out to Limgo, which is out here, the opposite of the direction we're departing. So you got to follow this flights via 4 flights via Limgo, that's us. From bulky, proceed via Q762, Z818, Z729, or Z if you're in the Europe area, but pretty much anywhere in the world but the US they call that Z, I think. Q760, 763, and then to Limgo. So what is that actually talking about? We're going to fly out here to bulky on our departure, right? And that should be this guy right here. So at or above 1,300 feet at 3 nautical miles from RMS, we're going to make that left turn to intercept this 057 degree radial outbound. From here, that's all programmed into the FMC. It'll be easy to fly out to bulky, and then we're going to hang a right. We're going to come down here to Manham, and then hang another right. We're going to take this down to ZWN, which is the VOR. Then we're going to hang another right. We're going to follow this out to Tompi, Mapig, hang a left out to X-Coast, and then Limgo, and then on course from there. That's the plan for our departure. So it seems like there's a lot going on, but when we look here in the flight deck, you can see that's pretty much programmed right in there. So you can see it's all right there. There is not a disconnect there. So if you look down here, if we go to our flight plan page, zoom that in for you. Let's see, where is it at? Is it on the first page? No, now it is. There's runway, if I get my brain to work, runway 8, and then out to bulky, then Zydod, and then Manham, which is out here, and then Laydat comes next. But you see there's no between Manham and Laydat, there's no discontinuity, right? There's no flight discontinuity there. It's just for whatever reason isn't showing the line on here. I don't know why, but it's not. But everything's connected there as it should be, so we're good on that. Back over to our takeoff and approach page real quick. And so we don't have an altitude restriction, as in we need to be above 1,300, but other than that we're good all the way up to flight level 320. So let's take this all the way up there. If I can find 320 without any issues. There we go. And we're going to leave that as is, and then let me just double check. So going through our, and now I'm going to go through this really fast because when we do the live stream we go from cold and dark, and that's great, but you guys have seen the full flight tutorial on this. So we've gone through the parking position preparation. We've made sure that the batteries on the air, the power's on the aircraft. We're on ground power right now. We've checked the captain's SIS, and I'm just skipping through a bunch of items here. We've already set up the FMC. The nav light is on. Emergency light test has been done. No smoking, fasten seatbelt signs are on. We haven't started the APU yet. We're going to do that here in a minute. We've tested the annunciator lights. All the system pressure lights are extinguished, meaning they're on auto rather than manual. We again, IRS selectors are all where they need to be. FMC is complete. Hydraulic system test has been completed as well. What else we got here? Emergency power has gone through its self-test and it's on. We've got the exterior lights the way that we want them. We've got the interior lights the way that we want them. The LSAS, the flap limit, the elevation field, those are all in where we want them as well. Anti-ice and defog, all those lights are extinguished. And we've set everything up, including putting our QNH down here at 3016. Uncaged our artificial, or not artificial, but our backup or standby artificial horizon here. That's the word I was looking for. We've done the gear lights test. That's this one here where you check and make sure those are red and those are red. That's all good. Tested the throttles. Those are good. We do need to change our flap setting. Dial a flap is what I'm is the word I'm thinking of here. So let me get to this view here. So we're going to be flaps 22 for departure, right? Remember, from this view it works fine. Just click and drag, and I don't really have any issues with it. You're just going to change that to 22. That's going to be our departure flaps. But for some reason, when I try to do it from this view, it bounces all over the place. Just flat out doesn't like it. But basically, we've got everything good to go. I want to put this back on the engines page down there, and we're going to get some doors closed up here. We can do that by going to our plugins menu, rotate MD-11 aircraft menu. This is the failures page. I just went in here and checked and just did the fix all failures in case there was an actual failure of that. I don't know if it was a sim glitch or an actual failure. So if it was an actual failure, it should be fixed now. Go back over here to ground operations. We can go ahead and start closing things up. So let's get rid of the stairs. Let's close up all these doors. I'll make sure everything's good to go before we pull out. We don't need to do a pushback, so we're just about ready for our engine start. I'll come back in just a minute after I make sure everything's good to go, and we'll start the engines. Alrighty folks, I got the APU spooling up right now. Let's start taking a look at this engine startup and pushback checklist. We've got permission, we're good to go. The beacon light needs to go on. That's going to be up here. This guy right here, high intensity lights, that's your strobe lights. Those can stay off for now. Alright, so the beacon light is on. Auxiliary hydraulic pump 1 needs to go on. That's this guy right here. Here's the APU power is available, so we're going to flip that on. We're going to flip the APU air on, and then we're going to put the external power in the off position. And we'll go back up here real quick to our aircraft menu, ground operations, and we can dismiss that power unit and go ahead and get rid of the chocks as well, and that means we are ready to go. We're going to pick ignition A on this one. I think we picked B on the last one, I don't remember, but we've gone in and done the maintenance anyway, so we should be good to go. So it's going to be ignition A. Remember, the timer started as soon as I click that. Fuel system manual light is extinguished. That's this guy right here. Air system manual light, that is extinguished as well. Parking brake is good. It's going to stay where it's at. So we're going to go down here to engine number 3. We're going to pull the start switch, and we are looking for 15% N2. That is right here. Okay, and you see it's fuel off right now. When we introduce the fuel, you'll see that change in the fuel flow will start to increase. So we're just looking for 15% on the N2 there. There's 13, 14, and 15. Go ahead and introduce the fuel, and you see immediately the fuel flow changes. Now, these tend to stabilize around 23% on the N1. Right, so up here, zoom that in a little bit for you. I know that's kind of crazy. So it'd be around 23% N1 is when it's stabilized. When it starts to get to about 20, you should be good to go to start the next engine. You can see that that light is already off, which means that the starter is no longer engaged, but we still want it to stabilize just a little bit. So there's 20, 21. It's going to start to stabilize. Let's go ahead and start engine number 1. And so the reason that I'm saying you might go through this just a wee bit quicker like this is because if you wait too long, then you're not going to be able to start engine number 2 because you won't have enough air pressure, right? You'll get a warning that'll say start pressure low or something like that. There's 15 on there. And if that happens, now just real quick, if that happens, just come up here, click on A again to turn it off, wait about 3 or 4 seconds, and then click on it one more time to turn it back on, and then you should be good to go. I have had issues once in a while where it tells me I don't have enough start pressure. I learned how to do a cross bleed start, which is a bit of a pain because you got to run the engines up pretty high, and it's just why hassle with it if you don't have to, right? So we're just waiting. There it is. It's coming into 20 right now. Let it start to stabilize. We'll go ahead and start engine number 2, and there we go. She's kicking in. So remember, it's based on a timer. As soon as you hit that A or that B button, the timer starts, right? So if it takes you a little longer or something like that, don't worry about it. Just turn it off, turn it back on, and you'll be good to go. There's 15 right there. Bring in the fuel. I'm going to go ahead and let the engines finish starting up and stabilizing. We'll come back on. We'll do our after start procedures and checklists. We'll get ready to taxi out. Alrighty, it's 3 good engine starts. Now real quick, there's a thing on the checklist that says if the cargo door test fail alert is displayed, that would be on here, then you need to press and hold the cargo door test button for 4 seconds. Now obviously that alert's not there, but just so you know, this is where the cargo door test button is right here. If you need to press and hold it, then there you go. We don't need any anti-ice right now. Temperature is 15 degrees Celsius. We may need it after we take off. Let's go ahead and make sure the APU air is off. We can turn the APU off just by clicking the button up here. It takes a minute to shut itself down, but it will. External power, both of those are off. We FADEC alternate mode is not displayed, so we don't need to worry about that. Again, that would be displayed down here. If that was displayed but not desired, you could turn the FADEC mode switches 1 through 3 open and push the guard, and that's these guys right here. So you would open the guards, click those switches, and that would get rid of that alternate mode. Nose light needs to go to taxi. Down 1. You can see that flashlight still is quite handy at the moment, isn't it? Logo light is already on. Pushback is complete, and the IRS PFD, we want to verify it says taxi down here. That's supposed to say that, so we're good to go. We have our taxi clearance. Taxiways have been noted. We don't need ground guidance. Let's go ahead and take care of our flaps. Let me show you how this works. I've done it before, but I'll show you again. So that's your slats, right? And let me jump back up over here, and you can see it shows the down arrow and it says slats. Once they've extended, the down arrow will go away. So that tells me the slats are extending. Now the slats are extended. When I push it again, it's going to go all the way to wherever I put this dial of flap, which in our case is supposed to be 22. It's not quite. Now watch, I'm going to try it from here. Oh, it's going to let me. Okay, so flaps 22 is our next setting. So we'll bring that down, and it goes all the way to dial of flap. The next setting after that would be flaps 28. Now what you can do, and it's not that I've necessarily seen this written somewhere, maybe I'm wrong about this. If you're an MD-11 pilot in the real world or have a lot of experience, let me know. But I believe you can use that dial of flap to slowly decrease your flaps as you're climbing out. I just want to get rid of that. It's always locked down there. So I can come over here and I can change my dial of flap to say flaps 20 so that my speed increases a little bit. I still have a lot of lift. Just something to think about. I could be wrong about that, so don't hold me to it. Let's go ahead and arm the spoilers. Remember, arrow, arrow, and you're looking for the hand. Click and hold, drag straight up. That arms the spoilers. TCAS, we want to make sure that's on TARA. That was the wrong switch or wrong button there. So TCAS right down here, all the way to TARA, and I'm just leaving that where it's at. We could also turn on the weather right now if we wanted to. You got the test mode. I've never actually put it in test mode, have I? Let's see if it does anything. It just shows weather on right now, but I don't see it testing. We'll let it go for just a minute. Stabilizer trim needs to be set. So down here on this page, it shows the stabilator or stabilizer, however you want to say it, 6.4. It's 3.0 on here. So I'm just going to use my switch on my yoke, and I'm going to change that to 6.4. There we go. There's 6.4. That looks fantastic. And we need to do our flight controls check. Jump down here and put this on the config page, and you'll see that's how you're going to do your flight controls check. So we're going to go full left and full right and neutral, then all the way up, all the way down, and neutral, and then we'll go full left on the rudder, and we'll see if she doesn't bounce too much. Full right on the rudder, bouncing a little bit but not too bad, and then neutral. That takes care of our flight controls check. Put that back on the engine page. Now this is really important because as we're the last thing on this checklist, first of all, it says FMC, make sure that's on the takeoff page. That's this page here. And then the last thing is nav mode, push to arm it. I forgot to do this probably last few times. So I'm going to push this, and that arms the nav mode. So if you look, I'll show you, it's a little easier to see over here. You can see nav is armed. It's important because of how the autopilot works in this thing. That was completely accidental. That was actually the scroll wheel that I did that with. Let's go ahead and turn the weather radar back to the off position for now because it's just making all kinds of noise on there. Alright, so that gets us all set up. Let me just get shifted in my chair a little bit here. Oh, there we go. And then I'll make sure I have the proper chart up over here because your aircraft shows up. You guys have seen that before. I'll show you real quick what I'm talking about. So there's us, and then I can follow my progress on here for my taxi. You can also do that with Sim Toolkit Pro. You don't have to have the airport chart pulled up. You just zoom Sim Toolkit Pro way in, and it kind of does the same thing, right? Okay, so there we go. Let's go ahead and let me get track hour coming on a little jump. That was a big jump there. Center that up for y'all, sort of. That looks pretty good. And let's go ahead and get that parking brake off. There we go. And she does like to start rolling a little bit on her own. You guys are used to that by now. Just bring in a little bit of thrust to get her started. Make sure that we're working here on our tiller. It's really hard to see, isn't it? Oh, you can't. Yeah, I mean, you can see it, but just barely. That light's not really doing anything. We are heavy, so give her a little more thrust and get her moving here. There she goes. And then we're going to hang her right here, so let's make sure the tiller's working properly. That's what I like to see. Tiller is working properly. I'm going to go down this tiny little taxiway, and I will see you all when we are holding short of the runway. Alrighty folks, here we are holding short of the runway. Let me get track hour off for just a second here. Go to a different view and let's take a look at our ready for takeoff checklist. First of all, actually no, let me back up. Our handoff or hold point, if I can get my brain to function here, we'll be fine. Our hold point checklist, handoff from ground to tower, landing lights and all that stuff can come on. Of course we had them on while we were back taxiing. We turned them off once we came off of runway, so we'll put all these on. High intensity lights can go on, runway turn off lights can go on, and we're good to go with all of those. Transponder is already on. Auto flight needs to be armed, right? So we're going to click auto flight. That gets rid of that box around there. All right, and then verify EAD box is green down here, which it is, and then it's position and hold and stop on the taxiway. So let's do that, and then we'll go to the next part of the checklist. Track hour coming back on. There's your little jump there. We'll center it back up for you nicely. And let's just give her a little mustard. Double check our approach path is clear. I don't see any aircraft inbound. Go ahead and taxi on out here. And I might just fast forward until we're holding short, or not until we're holding short, but until we're lined up here. We'll see. It's going to take just a minute. So she takes a second to get moving, but once she gets moving, she moves quick, right? So slow it down a little more here. Now somebody had said in the on one of the live streams that the wind sound inside the aircraft was really loud. I checked it, it didn't seem that loud to me. So I haven't adjusted it, but like for real, let me know down in the comments if you think that the wind sounds are too loud. We just came to a stop there. Just crank up a little bit over here on the right side just to get her moving forward again. So when you turn that nose wheel all the way on this airplane, it will turn sharp, but it will come to a pretty quick stop when you do. So it's just something to keep in mind. I'm not too much worried about using just a little runway to get lined up straight here because we've got a very, very long runway ahead of us. And we're just a tiny bit crooked, I think, but we're going to be all right there. Now let's take a look at our ready for takeoff checklist. So we're not going to set the parking brake. I'm going to just hold the brakes. Thrust levers are going to go forward until we see takeoff thrust displayed, and we'll release the brakes at that point, and then we should see verify that takeoff clamp is indicated on here again following takeoff thrust, and then the throttles will automatically go into auto throttle. All right, so now keep in mind that once we're airborne, we're going to want to hit the profile button. That's this guy here. That's for our vertical climb, and then we're going to hit that once when we have our speed close to where we want to be, and then we'll hit auto flight one more time to engage the autopilot. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. You guys have seen it a couple times by now. Let's go ahead and bring the throttles up a little bit. We're waiting until we see takeoff thrust. There it is. Release the brakes, and we immediately, it's going to keep going. So I was holding the brakes, but immediately we saw a whole bunch of warnings on there.
Caution, on taxiway, on taxiway.
Okay, well that's clearly working now, but I need to get rid of that. We're not on a taxiway. What are you talking about? Okay, so that's the RAS, right, which wasn't working before. It clearly is now, but I'm going to need to change the settings on that because I don't like to see that. There's V1 right there. Well, that just kind of made a mess of everything, didn't it? There's rotate. Go ahead and pull her back. Nice and easy. Watch that wing dip there. Nice. Positive rate of climb. Gear coming up. Following that flight director, I still always feel like it's way too high because it just wants you to, you just climb until you have no speed left, which I don't like. I think the flight director's a little shaky on this airplane, to be quite honest with you. Boy, it is windy and bouncy. Just trying to, I'm trying to get the nose to come down a little bit, not climb faster. Okay, there she goes. Come on down, baby. There we go. Just trying to get a little speed coming up there. So now, according to this, we should have already made our left turn there. You see, it's like, yeah, now, and then all of a sudden, bam, the flight director is like way off to the side. You see that? Not sure why it does that, but okay, we can put in a little more climb now. Nice standard turn there. We're all right. We're looking good. We're looking good. We're going to keep our flaps where they're at for the moment. Now, I know I'm just missing that flight director, but I'm going to tell you it's going to start coming back here. There we go. And then it'll come back all of a sudden. To me, that's a pretty big issue. The flight director's not very smooth on this aircraft, and that makes it a little bit difficult. See, all of a sudden it flings back the other way. And so I feel like I'm chasing it a lot. And it kind of does the same thing with the localizer little diamond or whatever you call it. What is that thing called? It does the same thing with that as well. So just something to keep in mind. Alright, we're looking alright though. We're coming good here. So we've got our gear up. Let's go ahead and take those flaps up one setting now. It's gonna, I just went ahead and went flaps up and I overshot it again. See how quick it, well, maybe it didn't move that fast. I wasn't paying attention. We're alright. And we've got the slats out right now, so you can see SR, that's slats retract. So go ahead and hit that. And we're looking pretty good. So our speed should go to 250. That's what we're looking for here. Go ahead and decrease that range just a little. I just want to see that turn on the nav display. So there's our 250 right there, right? So we should be good there now. If I hit profile, there we go. That's climb thrust, and then hit auto flight, and there she goes. Now she's going to pitch up a little hard for a second, but see, it's already settling down. That's beautiful. That's what I like to see. I love that. That's perfect. You know what I didn't check on here, and I'm going to just let me take track IR off real quick here. I'm going to check this real quick while we're still climbing out. Now look at how fast it's decreasing though. Let's go to FMS speed. Now that's not on the checklist, so I'm not really sure why. I mean, that should be on the checklist somewhere, right? To hit FMS speed, I would think. Either way, hit FMS speed if it looks like it's just, if your speed's decreasing really quick, it's trying to climb really fast, hit FMS speed and it'll start to control that. Okay, real quick, I want to just jump over here. I never looked at transition altitude. It's 5,000 feet, so we're already above that. So we need to go ahead and go standard on here. It's not up, it's down, right? Is it? Come on. I'm just trying to, oh, because I'm hitting the wrong thing. There we go. Down. Duh. And then you got to do that side too, right? So there, I don't know why. Does anybody know why are there two different settings on there? I know that one of them is, it has a little to do with the visual representation. That's because of track IR there. That's my bad. But I didn't really look that deep into it. So, my bad. Let's get those off. These guys can come off because we just came above 10,000 feet there. And everything else is looking pretty solid right now. Just coming up on, what are we at? 10,500 there? Yep, coming up on 10,500 feet. Aircraft is increasing in speed. It's following the flight plan the way that it should. We'll just flip over to flight plan page there. Let's take a look at our climb or our after takeoff or climb checklist here. So, vertical speed, set manually if you want. Landing and taxi lights are off. Spoiler needs to be disarmed. That's this guy right down here. Remember, look for the little hand. Click straight down, and you're good to go. Auto brake can go off as well. One rotation up there. Radios are good. Anti-ice is fine for the moment. Now our temperature is plus 17. It's going to get colder. Altimeter is good to go. Landing lights are retracted. Seatbelt signs can stay on. That's fine. And we are good to go. That takes care of our after takeoff checklist. And that means, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for some of that obligatory elevator music. Alrighty folks, we are a little over 100 miles from top of descent now. I went ahead and turned down the master volume. I did mess around with the what is it called? XP Realistic. This guy right here. I did go in here and mess with the sounds a little bit, but it was still pretty loud. In fact, if I turned some of these sounds all the way down, I still got quite a bit of noise in the aircraft. So I went into the main settings here under sound, and for the interior volume, I just turned it down a little bit in hopes that it's a little bit easier to hear me. So, because it was pretty loud as far as I could tell, and I don't want to have to be yelling into the microphone to be heard because that's just annoying anyway. So with all of that said, we are, like I said, we are now about 111, 110 nautical miles from top of descent. Let's take a look at our arrival, our approach briefings really quickly, just so that we can be prepared for those. Sim Toolkit Pro, of course, using our Navigraph charts as always. It's going to be the Aliso, I hope I'm saying that right, Aliso 1H RNAV arrival for us today. We're going to come in out here at Aliso, down to Rotno, then EDVAX. We need to be at 18,000 feet when we cross EDVAX. Then Tiger LLE01, max 250 knots there. and then on down here to the big VOR, or Biggin VOR. We need to be at 7,000 feet when we cross over the Biggin VOR, and that is actually going to put us onto our approach, or downwind for our approach. We're going to be landing on runway 9 right today. We were scheduled for 9 left. The reason I chose 9 right is quite simply because that's where the cargo's at, is over here. So why land over here on 9 left and have to taxi all the way across this airport if I don't have to? So we're going to land here on 9 right, and that'll take us in. So let's take a look at the approach for that then. It's going to be the ILS DME, or localizer DME approach for runway 9 right. Sure, the ILS is working, so we shouldn't have to worry about it. Zoom this in just a little bit for you so you can see better. ATIS is on any one of these 3 frequencies. We'll try them out and see if we can get a good ATIS reading. Even if we get a little bit of a tailwind, I'm going to stick with this runway if possible. Heathrow Director, that's approach controls on 119.730, tower on 18.505 or 705, ground on 121.905, 705 or 855. Localizer frequency is 109.5. I'm going to show you something with that here in a minute when we put it into the FMC. The final approach course is 89 degrees with glide slope intercept at distance 7.55 from IBB, that's the localizer, and at 2,500 feet. Minimums are going to be down below. We'll take a look at those in just a minute. Airport elevation is 83 feet. Remember, this airport elevation is the center of the airport. Runway elevation for us, this should be the touchdown zone at 75 feet. For missed approach, now this is an area I've been the last couple of flights I did, I had missed approaches and I did a terrible job. So I think what I need to do for myself, and what we should all do, is we should have a mindset that we're going to have to fly the missed approach so that we're ready to do it. Because my mindset is always, I'm going to land this plane. That's all well and good, but then you go into a missed approach and you're not ready for it. So I want to be more prepared for that. So let's just consider that we're going to probably fly a missed approach. I'm not saying we are, but just in case. So you're going to climb straight ahead to 3,000 feet, then as directed, right? So that's by ATC. This, in event of radio failure, C11-5, we're not on radios, we're not talking with ATC, so we don't need to worry about that. What I can tell you is we're going to want to climb straight ahead to 3,000 feet. And for this one, it's really rather simple. Because we're not talking to ATC, what we'll do is we'll make a downwind, we'll try to get set back up for this same approach. Moving on down here, looking at our vertical profile. So again, distance 7.5 from IBB, which is the final approach fix 409 right, and the waypoint is called FF09R. 2,500 feet, intercept the glide slope, and then on in from there. Now the weather is sketchy, is probably the way to put it. It has shifted a little bit. You can see that right now scattered clouds at 1,600 feet, becoming broken 1,400 feet. So we may have some weather we need to consider, so just something to keep in mind. As of right now, our minimums, if we were doing a Cat 3, decision height is 50 feet. Cat 2 decision altitude is 175 feet or 100 feet AGL. Cat 1, depending on what the setup is, whether or not the ALS is out, and so on and so forth. It all changes just a little bit. We're going to just consider it a Cat 2. That means you need to have a runway visual range of 300 meters. When we look on here, this tells us our visibility is unlimited. That's what 99.99 means on there. So we should be fine doing a Cat 2. We could even do a Cat 1. It wouldn't be a big deal. But we'll just consider it a Cat 2, and we'll put it at 100 feet for our minimums on here. That's just the way I'm going to go with it. Glide slope should not be out, so we don't need to worry about that one. But if for any reason it is out, then 405 feet becomes our minimums. Happy lights should be on the left-hand side, and there you have it. Okay, so zoom that back out real quick. Let me get this out of the way, and let's make sure we're set up in here. So we're 75 nautical miles from top of descent. We do have, if you recall, 2 specific altitudes we need to meet, 18,000 feet and 17,000 feet. So first things first, I'm going to put this at 18,000 feet. I'm just going to leave that there for the moment because that'll get us started on our descent. And then if we jump down here, you look in here, so ETVAX is where we need to be at 18,000 feet. So scroll this bad boy up. ETVAX, it's got it in there, 18,000 feet. The next one was Biggin VOR, 7,000 feet. Right there, Biggin VOR, 7,000 feet, and then the rest of that approach is going to be flown 7,000, and then we'll come down to 6 and so on, and then on in from there. What I wanted to show you is here in the nav radio. Let me get that on the right page. So I've shown you this before. There's two ways of looking at this. You can just put in the frequency, so it's 109.50, right? So 109.50, put that in there, and then it gives us this whole list of VORs, or either VORs or ILSs. It just depends, right? In this case, believe it or not, none of these is the ILS that we're looking for. None of them. None of these have the proper identifier. So let's go back here to nav radio. Now let's put it with the course in there and see what happens. 109.50, and then the course is 089 degrees, right? So that's both of these here. Put that in there, and it's still not showing up because we're looking for India Bravo Bravo. Notice that's not in here. It doesn't show up. But if I choose India Bravo Bravo, this is one thing I like, is you can put the identifier in here instead. Now there's India Bravo Bravo, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So now it's which one is it, right? So in case you don't know this, which you guys probably do, but just in case, I'll show you real quick. You can go to your airport chart here and look up top here. Of course, this one's sideways, but you look up top here, and this gives us the lat and long for the airport. It's for the center of the airport. It's north 51, 28.7, and west 00027.7. That's the center location of the center of our airport. Well, if we look on here, we've got north 51, north 33, north 37, etc. Well, none of these can be it because they're not north 51. But if some of them are close, then you need to look at the next one over as well. But either way, we can see that this IBB here, which is 147 nautical miles from our present position, is the ILS frequency that we want. We're going to select that. Maybe not. Select it on this side. Okay, I was selecting the wrong side. And then you see it puts it in there, 109.50 IBB/089 degrees, and we're good to go there. So you see, that's how we can get her set up, nice and easy. And then if we go to our takeoff and approach page, you can see for our approach here, we're set to land flaps 35 right now, which is going to put us at 165. If we choose flaps 50, it puts us at 159. We have 12,000 feet of runway. I know if Pat was on here right now, if this was a live stream, he'd say do the full flaps because he doesn't want to have to do the damage report. I'm going to go with flaps 35 because Pat's not on here right now. And we're going to go ripping in there at 165 knots and see how she goes. So get back onto the flight plan page. Sometimes you got to hit it twice. I don't know why, but we're coming up on our top of descent. You can see over here 48 nautical miles. This is the performance page, right? So there's flight plan. That's what we got over here right now. Hit performance, and it's in cruise mode, and it tells us the top of descent 47 nautical miles. So we're looking good there. We'll be on the descent shortly, and then you can of course see on your nav display here as well. I know from that particular view it can be a little hard to see. That arrow, that's our top of descent right there. So all is well. I will see you guys back here when we are probably on that downwind for the approach. Alrighty folks, as you can see, we're just about to start making this turn here. Unfortunately, we do have some of that flashing going on from where the sun is at. Just gonna have to make it a point to either fly at night or during the day until they get that sorted. I don't actually know what's causing that right now. I don't even know that necessarily that they're aware of it, to be quite frank with you, but it is what it is. There is another issue I've noticed throughout this flight is the aircraft is very insistent on crossing directly over a waypoint, right? So whereas normally the aircraft will interpolate, which means it'll cut inside a waypoint to make a smoother turn, this one, and it wasn't doing this before, so it has something to do with the recent update or something, but it does not like not flying over a waypoint. So it is what it is. We'll continue to deal with it. There's the flaps 28 notification there. That's right on there. And then next will be flaps 35. So we'll be going gear down here pretty soon. Once we get up around the corner, we'll probably start getting a warning saying gear, gear, gear. But flaps 35 will be our next flap setting. So we're coming up around here. We're cruising at 196 knots, looking good. And again, our landing is going to be at 165 knots. I do apologize for the flashing. We got a bit of tailwind there. Right now it's 30 knot tailwind. So it's going to be quite the crosswind. Seems to be going away now, which is nice. So there's those broken clouds we were talking about with our weather report. The altimeter is 2992. Right, so it's 1013 if it's hectopascals, 2992 if it's inches, of Mercury. So we're staying on that right now, not a problem there. We are just below transition altitude, in case you were wondering. So like if we were to hit it, it's just going to say 299.2 still, right? It's not going to make a difference. So what did we say our minimums were? I did not set those, which is not good on my part. So 100 feet is our minimums. So let me just put that on here. There we go, 100. Let's go ahead and hit the approach land switch. It immediately armed the localizer, but it hasn't grabbed it yet. And we're way above the glide slope here. You notice that? Let's go ahead and... This is not handling the... turn that off. This is not handling the descent profile well at all. Let's go ahead and get the gear down. There we go, and we have quite the crosswinds. It's going to be quite fun for the landing. Flaps coming down now. Gear's coming down, relax. That gear warning is just because, as far as the aircraft is concerned, we don't have the gear down yet. You can see, though, we are way above the glide slope here. And so we need to get the aircraft down a little bit more. And we're working on that right now. So, just coming over here to get back on that localizer. There we go. We are going to be crabbing into the wind, obviously, because we have a pretty strong crosswind there. So until we have a better visual on the runway, I can see the runway, but I don't have a very clean visual. So the auto thrust appears to be off, but the throttles are right where I want them. So we're good there. And we're drifting to the left a little bit, so we'll just bring her over. We got gear down for green. We are not using... auto brakes, but we are going to need the spoilers, and we're coming onto that glide slope here, as you can see. So if you just look at our speed there, we're sitting right at looks like we're just creeping down. No, we're good, our descent rate's a little high right now, but that's intentional. Okay, we're coming up on that glide slope, and so we'll start decreasing that rate of descent here so that we don't go below it. Just nice and easy. And that should just put us right on the glide slope. Bring in a little more thrust. 1,000. There we go. That's going to be pretty nice there. Don't want to drop below it. Thrust is coming up nicely. There we go. Look at that. Don't get too high now. And we're drifting back because the wind's shifting, right? So it's gusty. So it's not as much of a crosswind now as it was. Still a crosswind, but nowhere near as bad. So there we go, looking good. Don't drop below that glide slope there. That was on me. Let's listen to the rest of those call outs. Now turning that volume down has made those a little quieter as well. So just a little slow, not too bad though. Looking good. Listen to the rest of the call outs.
Caution, taxiway.
Okay,
caution,
I turned that
taxiway.
off, and I don't know why it's back on. Get down. Whoa, that wind just picked right up. Okay, we're good. Continue.
50, 40. Glide slope. 20. 10.
Caution, on taxiway, on taxiway.
Good landing, good landing. Bring in that reverse thrust. Or not. Oh, wow. Okay, full manual braking. Slam the nose wheel down, that's not good. My reverse thrust is not working for some reason. Oh, I know, because it's different on this one. Yeah, see? That's really weird the way it's set up. You really got to wait on it for a minute. Okay, that's fine. We're going to exit to the right here. Nice and hard on the brakes. The landing wasn't bad, actually. I have no complaints about that landing. I am pretty annoyed with the RAS there. First of all, it's not a taxiway. It's a runway. Second of all, I turned off the visible warnings. So I think I'm just going to turn it off altogether for now. Clearly it's not working properly. That's understandable. It's not that big of a deal. Everything's still in beta mode. Not too worried about it. All the way up. Up one on those. Let's get this guy off. Maybe. There we go. Finish coming up around the corner. We're looking good here on everything. Start bringing the flaps up. See if I can click that guy on. There we go. Fantastic. Sorry for moving my head around so quick there. Alright, so just looking at our after landing procedures really quick. Obviously flaps are up. Let's get the spoilers back down. Getting the flaps coming all the way up right now. You don't want to go too fast around this corner here. She really likes to pick up speed pretty easy, doesn't she? Slide her up around the corner. We've got the APU starting up right now. Landing lights are off. Taxi lights are on. We didn't use auto brakes. Reverse thrusters obviously are off. I think we already said flaps are up. So I think we're looking good on everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and taxi this bad boy in, and I will see you guys back here when we are getting to a parking spot. Alright, looks like we got a company MD-11 here on our left. I'm not sure why he's turned around, but whatever, it is what it is. We're going to park right here in spot 601. Should have plenty of room to slide it on up in there. So we'll just keep inching forward here. Bring in a little asymmetric thrust from the side there. Just to keep us going around the corner. I don't want to give it too much or it'll fly up around the corner and then you won't be able to stop it. Now we don't have any ground guides obviously, so, and it looks like all these parking spaces are actually kind of turned around, which is a little weird, but we're going to just pull her up there, get our nose all the way up to the end there. That should work out just fine for us. And you can see it just keeps picking up speed. I'm not sure why it does that. We'll see how good we do here. Slow her down nice and easy. We're still just about... It should be right about there. So we'll go ahead and stop it. Let's go ahead and get that parking brake set there. So with the XRAS, I did the data recycle or whatever it's called. Recreate data cache. Track R coming off. So that, maybe it's coming off. There we go. So that if I can get my brain to function, just get that APU power on. Maybe. Oh, you know what? It comes on, it's supposed to come on automatically when you shut the engines off, which means I might have turned it off there. I don't know. We can turn the bleed on. Anyway, hopefully resetting that data cache will take care of it, thinking that it's on the runway or on the taxiway. If I can get my brain to just function for a moment here, that'd be great. Okay, all three engines are off. Okay, it did go on automatically. That's what we wanted. That's fantastic. So let's go ahead and just grab over here. Grab our aircraft menu, ground operations. Let's get this guy up here, get the chocks in place, get some stairs, open that door, open all of these doors. Now I also went with this guy, this ground handling. It won't even show me the widget for some reason. Not really sure why. It is, well, maybe because I didn't register it yet. Maybe I need to re-register it in here or something like that. But I'm not going to do that right now. Haven't been a big fan of it. It's not really that great for cargo aircraft. So not too thrilled with that, but it is what it is. Alright, so we're on the APU right now. Let's get it back on to ground power now that that's connected. Ground power can come on, APU bleed can go off, APU power can go off, and then the APU itself can go off. And then we're going to leave the rest of the aircraft as is in a turnaround state. So, oh, you know what? I didn't turn the taxi light off, did I? I never do that. Logo light can go off, nav light stays on, beacon light can go off at this point as well. And that means that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope that you enjoyed the flight. I am loving flying this airplane. I'm going to keep flying this airplane. I cannot wait until TFDI releases their MD-11 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. That is going to be absolutely fantastic. But in the meantime, this is also a great aircraft. I really am enjoying my time with X-Plane as well, so this is just good stuff, and I really hope you guys are enjoying it too. If you are, please do go ahead and smash down on that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up. That lets me know that you're enjoying the content, and you can give it a thumbs down too if you don't like it. But if you're going to do that, please do put something down in the comments. Let me know what you think I can do to improve things, and I'd be more than happy to take a look at that. That's it. That's all, and no more, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, as always, keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all, and have an absolutely fantastic day.